Hello, English learners. Welcome to our new episode. If you don't understand English well, don't worry. After this episode, you will know everything.
I'm Alexa, and I'm happy to be here today to talk about physics. It's a very interesting subject that explains how the world works.
I am Alex, and I agree physics is everywhere, from the way we walk to how airplanes fly. So, let's start with the basics. How are you today, Alexa?
I'm doing great, Alex. Thanks for asking. Physics is one of my favorite topics, and I'm excited to explain it in a simple way so our listeners can understand easily.
That's great. So, let's start with the question, what is physics? Physics is the study of matter, energy, and the forces that make things move. It helps us understand the universe and how everything around us works.
Yes, physics explains why the sky is blue, how electricity powers our homes, and even how planets move in space. It is one of the most important sciences because it helps us develop new technology.
Exactly. There are many branches of physics, such as mechanics, thermodynamics, and electromagnetism. Each one focuses on a different part of how the world works. Let's talk about mechanics first.
Mechanics is the study of motion and forces. For example, when you throw a ball, gravity pulls it down, and air resistance slows it down. Understanding mechanics helps engineers build bridges, cars, and airplanes.
That's right. Gravity is one of the most important forces in mechanics. It keeps us on the ground and makes planets orbit the sun. Isaac Newton was the scientist who discovered the laws of gravity.
Newton's laws of motion are also very important. The first law says that an object will stay still or keep moving unless a force acts on it. This is why a moving car stops when you press the brakes.
Yes, his second law explains how force, mass, and acceleration are connected. It tells us that the harder we push something, the faster it moves. This is why a light ball is easier to throw than a heavy one.
His third law is also interesting. It says that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When you jump, your legs push down on the ground, and the ground pushes you up.
Great explanation. Now, let's talk about energy. Energy is what makes things move and work. There are different types of energy, like kinetic energy, which is the energy of moving things, and potential energy, which is stored energy.
Yes, when you stretch a rubber band, it has potential energy. When you let it go, the energy turns into kinetic energy, and it moves. Energy is everywhere in our daily lives.
Another important topic in physics is electricity. Electricity is the flow of tiny particles called electrons. It powers our homes, lights, and computers. Without electricity, modern life would be impossible.
That's true. Electricity and magnetism are connected. When electricity flows through a wire, it creates a magnetic field. This is how electric motors and generators work.
Now, let's talk about waves. Waves transfer energy from one place to another. Light, sound, and radio signals all travel in waves. That's why we can hear music and see colors.
Yes, sound waves move through the air and reach our ears. Light waves help us see the world around us. Even the internet works using electromagnetic waves.
Physics also helps us understand the universe. Scientists study the stars, planets, and galaxies to learn about space. They use telescopes and satellites to explore the mysteries of the universe.
That's right. The Big Bang Theory explains how the universe began. It says that the universe started with a huge explosion and has been expanding ever since.
Physics is an amazing subject because it answers so many questions about how things work. It is used in medicine, engineering, and even space travel.
Yes, without physics, we wouldn't have smartphones, airplanes, or even simple things like clocks. It is a science that helps improve our lives in many ways.
Another important part of physics is heat and temperature. Heat is a form of energy that moves from hot objects to cold ones. Temperature measures how hot or cold something is. When you touch a hot cup, heat moves to your hand. When ice melts, it absorbs heat from the air. This is part of a branch of physics called thermodynamics, which helps us understand how energy moves and changes.
Yes, thermodynamics has 3 important laws. The first law says that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only changed. For example, when you burn wood, chemical energy turns into heat and light. The second law says that heat moves from hot areas to cold ones. This is why a hot drink cools down over time. These laws help us understand engines, refrigerators, and even the human body.
That's a great explanation. Now, let's talk about pressure. Pressure is the force applied to an area. When you press on a balloon, the air inside pushes back. If you press too hard, the balloon pops. Pressure is important in many areas of life. For example, airplane cabins have controlled pressure so passengers can breathe comfortably at high altitudes. Scuba divers also need to understand pressure underwater.
Yes, another cool concept in physics is buoyancy, which explains why some objects float while others sink. If an object is less dense than water, it will float. This is why boats stay on the surface, even though they are very heavy. The Greek scientist Archimedes discovered this principle long ago. He realized that when an object is placed in water, it pushes some water away, creating an upward force that helps it float.
That's interesting. Now, let's talk about sound. Sound is made of vibrations that travel through air, water, or solid objects. When you speak, your vocal cords vibrate, creating sound waves. These waves travel to someone's ear, allowing them to hear your voice. Sound travels faster in solids than in air because the particles are closer together. That's why you hear a train coming if you put your ear on the tracks.
Another type of wave is light. Light waves travel extremely fast, about 300,000 kilometers per second. That means light from the sun takes only about 8 minutes to reach Earth. Light can also bend when it moves from one material to another, like from air to water. This bending is called refraction, and it explains why a straw looks broken when placed in a glass of water.
Light also has different colors, which are part of the electromagnetic spectrum. When sunlight passes through a prism, it splits into 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. These colors combine to make white light. This is why rainbows appear after it rains. The tiny water droplets act like prisms and separate sunlight into different colors.
Yes, and some light waves are invisible to our eyes, like infrared and ultraviolet light. Infrared light is used in night vision cameras, and ultraviolet light from the sun helps our bodies make vitamin D. However, too much UV light can be harmful, which is why we use sunscreen to protect our skin. These different types of light are used in medicine, communications, and even space exploration.
Speaking of space, let's talk about gravity in space. On Earth, gravity keeps us on the ground. But in space, where there is little gravity, astronauts float. This is called microgravity. It happens because astronauts are in constant free fall around the Earth. Scientists study how microgravity affects the human body because long space trips can cause muscles and bones to become weaker.
That's true. Gravity also affects time. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time moves slower in stronger gravity. This means time moves slightly faster for astronauts on the International Space Station than for people on Earth. This effect is tiny, but it has been measured using atomic clocks. Understanding relativity helps scientists develop better GPS systems and explore the universe.
Now, let's talk about nuclear physics. Nuclear energy comes from the nucleus, or center, of an atom. When atoms split apart, they release a huge amount of energy. This process is called nuclear fission, and it is used in power plants to generate electricity. Another process, called nuclear fusion, happens in the sun. In fusion, small atoms combine to form bigger ones, releasing even more energy than fission.
Yes, scientists are working on using nuclear fusion for energy on Earth because it produces less waste than fission. If successful, fusion could provide clean and limitless energy. However, it requires very high temperatures, like those in the sun, so scientists are still trying to find ways to make it work safely and efficiently. If they succeed, it could change the future of energy.
Another important topic in physics is quantum mechanics. This branch of physics studies tiny particles like electrons and photons. Unlike regular objects, these tiny particles can behave in strange ways. For example, they can be in two places at the same time. This idea, called superposition, is used in quantum computers, which are much faster than normal computers for certain tasks.
Quantum mechanics also explains how particles can be entangled. When two particles become entangled, changing one instantly changes the other, no matter how far apart they are. This idea is so strange that even Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Scientists are still studying quantum mechanics because it could lead to new technologies in computing and communication.
Physics is truly amazing because it helps us understand everything from the smallest particles to the largest galaxies. It is used in engineering, medicine, and even entertainment, like making realistic animations in movies. The more we learn about physics, the more we can improve our world and create new inventions.
Absolutely, physics is all around us, from the way we walk to how our smartphones work. Learning physics helps us ask better questions and find better solutions. We hope you enjoyed this discussion and learned something new. Keep practicing your English and stay curious about science.
Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment on this podcast. See you in the next episode.
Yes, keep learning and don't be afraid to ask questions. See you next time.